Hello, my name is Chad Kassem from Acoustic Sounds, Analog Productions, and Quality Record Pressings. And today I have a special guest here, Dillon from Noble Records. Dillon's come all the way from North Carolina, one of my favorite states. Has some of the best musicians, Nina Simone, Thelonious Monk, and John Coltrane, to name a few. And we're going to be pressing some records for Dillon and his new reissue label. And I wanted Dillon to come and see what was going on here in Salina, because I trying to explain him everything. And I'm like, you know what, the best way is for you to just come and let me see, and you can get years of knowledge in a few days instead of like learning slowly. And so I want to interview him for our channel. I know so many people love Dillon. He's such a genuine person, and you can feel it in his videos. I really love watching your videos, and you feel like just very enthusiastic and excited to get your collections and go through the rare records. And people can feel it, man. I can feel it, and I appreciate real people. And so I'm happy that you came, and I'm happy that we're friends now, and we can help each other out. And there's a lot of music I don't know about that Dillon does, and so anyway, I just welcome to Salina.
Thank you, man. It's wild to be here. But my channel, we talk about a bunch of rare records. A lot of people are like, "Oh man, all this." It's a lot. It's I was talking to the guys this morning in your vinyl vault department, and I was just telling them how it's not necessarily that I know a lot. It's just that I know different stuff. I mean, sometimes when it comes to common records and stuff like that, I can learn a lot from your channel and other people's channels and stuff. But I'm into like a bunch of really weird stuff, so that's kind of where all that comes from. But it is wild to be here and to see all the moving pieces and all that stuff. And I appreciate you letting me come poke around and hear all your sound systems and things. So
yeah, no, all record dealers, everybody has got like a specialty of what they like, and nobody can know it all. There's no one record dealer, that knows a lot about everything. So I just wanted to ask you, because, you do a lot of videos, and I don't know how many times you've been interviewed. Let's start. You were born in North Carolina?
Born in North Carolina, lived there my whole life. Started collecting records when I was 10 years old. I was into like a bunch of older music. My parents, my dad was a Baptist preacher, and so they didn't want me listening to like contemporary radio of pop and hits and things like that. But if it was on a record, I think they kind of let it go. And so I was buying, Led Zeppelin and stuff like that, records early on, and kind of dipping my toes in rock and roll that way. And so, my dad back in the day in the 80s, he held a bunch of those rallies, the burn records.
Really?
Yeah, dude. The rock and roll records, because, you had the Satanic Panic with the backward masking and all that stuff. And so he's got pictures of them burning like Kiss records and stuff.
Oh, dude, we need to throw. Can you get the pictures?
I'll have to find them.
Man, I wouldn't mind sprinkling that in.
The Knights in Satan's Service is what they called Kiss, So anyway,
Knight in Satan's Service.
That's what they said Kiss stood for, but it doesn't.
Oh,
But anyway, so when I got into records, he kind of. They would let it slip for a while, but then when I started getting stuff like Black Sabbath, and we clashed a little bit, but now he's cool. He'll come over and listen to records and stuff. Funny story that ties to you. I brought him over because my dad, he don't care about. He's not a music guy. He don't care. But I brought him into my sound system when I got it all set up and dialed up how I want it, and I put on Ted Nugent 45 RPM Stranglehold, and he's like, "Man, that's incredible! Like, it just sounds great."
Oh, dude, I love that.
Dude, that intro. Like, if I'm showing somebody my sound system, I drop that on, and it's just like, Man, that's impressive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So one thing that come to mind, did they have music and choirs in your dad's church?
Oh yeah.
They did?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we all kinds of stuff. Like, so this is another story you'll like. I started playing guitar when I was like seriously playing when I was 13 or 14. I fooled around with it a little bit before that, but there was a guy that came to the church that played guitar, and my dad really liked him, and he said, "I want you to teach my son how to play guitar," and he taught me blues, like really. And I was telling you yesterday about me finding that blues record in the trash. It was Luther, Georgia, Snake Boy Johnson, and Muddy Waters Blues Band. I found that in the trash when I was about that same age, and I met this guy, and he kind of taught me how to play blues, and so that's how I started playing guitar, and I learned how to play. And he had a blues band that I played with, and we had him. We had a Native American guy that played bass like unbelievable. So my dad had a little like blues church band kind of that we would play at church sometimes, but it was all it was great. I met a lot of musicians that passed through and stuff like that in church, and that was obviously more gospel and stuff like that. But
So y'all in his church they would have gospel singing and
oh yeah.
playing.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool because a lot of musicians and a lot of people came from that. I mean, even blues players came from that. What about the music, the local music in the area? Was it a lot of like Appalachia stuff or bluegrass and blues and gospel? What was there people playing on the porches?
Well, I think you're envisioning North Carolina as being like
More like Mississippi.
There's some rural parts for sure. Like
Yeah.
I live out in the middle of nowhere, and when I grew up out in the middle of nowhere, my dad, I grew up on a farm and everything. He bought a house in the suburbs, and about 2 or 3 months into it, he was just like, man, we were bored, we had nothing to do, and he's like, I don't want my kids, running around neighborhoods and stuff like I did when I was a kid. I want them to grow up out in the country. So he bought a farm. And we always lived on a farm, but we had. So my dad kind of went through this thing when I was about 14 or 15, where he would go preach out at all these really rural places, and so he
Tents?
No, not really tents. Like they would have these small churches in these rural parts, and they'd have bluegrass players and stuff around, and so he got into like the more like cowboy type community. And so he would always bring me along, and I think he was trying to combat the rock and roll and bring me into like the bluegrass. Like my grandma bought me an acoustic guitar, and he would take me and throw me in these bluegrass jams. First time he did it, I was 13, 14, 15, something like that, and I just really started playing. And he said, "I'm taking you in here. It's a surprise. Close your eyes, whatever." I'm like, "What in the world is he doing?" So he takes me up there's this old house, and walks me up the staircase, and he opens the door and pushes me in, and I'm on stage at this house bluegrass show, and all the guys turn around and, "What do you want to play?" I was like, "I don't know," and so I can't remember which song it was. It was on "Will the Circle Be Unbroken?" Will the Circle Be Unbroken was one of the songs that I could do, and then there's the one about the green-eyed mule. You know what I'm talking about? Anyways.
Maybe if I heard it.
But I don't know. But so I got thrown into a bunch of bluegrass jams and stuff like that. So I had my foot in kind of rock and roll, blues, bluegrass, and then as time progressed, I've been into all kinds of great stuff. So
that's very interesting. Childhood, and so you started collecting records.
Yeah, I started collecting records mainly because CDs were so expensive at that point. I mean, it's the.
So what year, when you were 15 years old, what year would that be?
Well, so I started collecting records when I was 10, which is 98, and so I would have been 2003 when I was 15. So I always picked them up I didn't even know there were record stores anymore. I thought that was a thing of the past. So I'd pick them up at thrift stores, flea markets, stuff like that, and just, dying to find every Zeppelin album or AC/DC or whatever I was into at the time. And, over the years, going to so many yard sales and stuff, I found pretty much everything I wanted. And I thought I knew, like, a good bit about music because when I got married, I had 1,000 records at that point. And it was all, like, Beatles, Stones, Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, all the stuff, the classic rock essentials, And when I got married, that was 2010. I sold my whole collection out, other than just like maybe that many of my favorites, and then immediately regretted it. I think I was telling you the story yesterday.
Immediately regretted it.
Yeah, I was like, because at the time I hadn't, I'd gone to college a little bit, and I hadn't really been collecting records anymore. And then I think going through them and the process of selling them and stuff, I was like, man, it's the one constant that I've always liked records. I've always liked them. And so then, like, I did pretty good selling them. I made a decent amount of money selling them. I mean, not anything like now because it was 2010, but I didn't sell them for nothing, And so I said, well, I'll see if I can find some more. And then I bought that big collection I was telling you about yesterday. This guy had shut down a record store, and he tried to open one again. He moved to North Carolina, was going to open one again, but it was the early 90s, and the climate for it wasn't good, so they just kind of sat in his spare bedroom. And so it was 7,000 records that were mostly all still sealed, either sealed or promos or autographed or something. And I was broke at the time. He sold me all of them for $200, and I got them home, and I was like, I got my record collection back, And so there was so many that I didn't know what to do with. I started putting them on eBay and opened an eBay store. Sold on eBay for, I don't know, 8 years, something like that.
So from what year? When
I started eBay in 2010. Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking 14 years ago.
Yeah. And so I always did it as a side hustle because I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life for the longest time. And so I worked a bunch of crazy jobs. And
like what?
I worked at a fiber optics factory. We made glass. I basically welded glass to make this specific part you need to do fiber optics with. And then I did landscaping on and off. I did a lot of tree work. I did my friend's dad owned a landscaping company. They installed trees. I worked for landscaping in a bunch of different ways, I guess. I don't know. I've tried to forget all this. I did graphic design for 3 years for a t-shirt company, stuff like that. But I hated it. I hated everything I ever did. And most people hate their jobs. So it's fine. But I really wanted to figure out something with records. And then in 2019, I have nothing to lose. I lost my job, had $1,000 to my name. And my wife's like, why don't you open a record store? I was like, because I don't have any money. There's no way. And then we figured it out. We did it.
It's crazy. That wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't.
Your story is a lot like mine because I didn't know that I could. I knew I loved music and I knew I loved records, but I never dawned on me that I could do records and music for a living. Yeah. Until it really just happened. Yeah. I didn't think about it ahead of time. Yeah. I just started wheeling and dealing records just to get more, buy 3, sell 2, trade 1. Mm-hmm. And then I started doing that so much that I was making more money doing that than my normal job.
For me, about 2019, I started making a little bit more, and I was doing pop-ups. So I was doing I take 1,000 records out to a coffee shop on a Saturday and sell them, and that would go pretty well. And so that's when I started making more money. And then my wife, she's pushing me, you got to do it. And she's like, it ain't got to be perfect. You just open and then build. And so I said, all right. So if you look at the shop when we first opened, we signed the lease and had a month to open. And so I sold all my really nice guitars and used the money. And then we didn't have any loans or anything. So I sold most of my record collection. So all the big ticket items, I had promos of almost every Zeppelin record. I had a Promo 2, Promo Zeppelin 1.
Was it the mono? Because there's...
No, they were both stereos, but I had the turquoise letter Zeppelin 1 from the UK. Nice. All that stuff. I sold all the big ticket items to get, just to buy more inventory. And then bought as many records as I had, put almost my whole collection in the shop just to start. And so, if you look at pictures and stuff of when we first opened, it was bare bones, man. It looked pretty bad. But now, over the years, we bought a lot of collections, filled the space up, and now we're starting to label and all that stuff. So I'm always just trying to do something. My goal is to do something that I like, that I feel like other people like, that brings joy to other people, and contribute to society in that way, and then try to spend as much time with my family as I can, be flexible, just try to have fun with it.
Yeah, now this whole YouTube world, I mean, I go crazy. Like, I hardly watch TV anymore,
Yeah.
because you can zero in on your hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that not only did the COVID speed up people collecting vinyl, it speeded up people being interested in watching YouTube videos.
Well, it changed culture in like every way. It's crazy. It really is crazy. One thing I like to ask people all the time is like how COVID. This is a good icebreaker if you get in a conversation with them, how COVID changed their life, because everybody's life changed at that time almost. I mean, mine completely changed in that time because we had the shop open for 5 months, and then we had to shut it down. And I mean, at this point, I'm month to month, like barely making it,
Yeah.
And then we had to shut down, and then I still had to pay rent on the building. I didn't know what I was gonna do. Couldn't make any money, and so we just started like me and my wife would just sit around brainstorming, like, what are we gonna do? I mean, we made a bunch of like T-shirts and sold them, and then we had we had 1,000 different things that we tried. Some failed, some did great, but we got through it. But one thing I wanted to do was I was like, I'm gonna make a YouTube video every day because everybody's at home doing nothing. They're watching YouTube, so maybe I could kind of build my online during this time, and that helped. I didn't do it every day, but I did like 3 or 4 a week, and so one of them took off. And then I got a lot of subscribers, and I think I got like 20,000 subscribers that month. And then it just kept going from there. But that's kind of how it started. YouTube started for me. But
I mean, it's crazy. The YouTube thing is crazy, and it's also crazy. I started this in '86, and we had to do little classify ads in the back of magazines, and wait for people to call us, write letters back and forth. I mean, faxes just started coming out. A fax. I mean, thermal fax. They didn't even have a regular sheet-fed fax.
Yeah.
And, the fact that you said 2019 you started,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just blows me away because, you've grown so much and you're so well known that would take us 10, 20 years, the help of YouTube, and it's free.
Yeah, I don't understand it really. I don't know why people watch my videos, but I'm grateful for it. I think there's a lot of other people with a lot of knowledge better than mine, but I just try to do things I like and add value to other people's life, and then leave it at that. But I've been very fortunate, and I'm very thankful that that people watch the videos and they enjoy them and all that stuff. So I just am excited about records.
Well, show us the records that the rare records that you're. Tell us a little bit about your label.
So these are just a couple that I brought. I didn't bring it to do this.
Yeah, I mean, Dillon brought these records here because we needed to scan them to help him with his record jacket, and we needed to A/B them. We just A/B'd them against the original albums, and and these are the records we're going to be pressing for him, and hopefully we'll be selling them as well when they come out.
So the first one that we did is this Drywater. The album's name is Southpaw. The band's name Drywater. This is a hard rock record from North Carolina. If you like stuff like Uriah Heep, Black Oak, Arkansas, stuff like that. I mean, Black Sabbath. They're not quite as heavy as Black Sabbath, but that like early '70s hard and heavy rock. This is a great record. I found one of these years ago, and I've always loved this album. It took me forever to find the band members to license it, but we did, and they actually still had the original master tapes. With this, when they started listening to the tapes, there was an extra track that it wasn't on the original album, and then a couple of the songs have been cut short when they released it. So there's some extended tracks. It's just like extended jamming and guitar solos and stuff that I love. and then there's an extra track. So we had the original tapes. Matt Luthen's, he did the mastering, AAA, straight from everything, the right way. So everything's being done here. So Matt did the mastering, they did the plating, we got the test pressings, all that stuff. And it sounds, we just A-B'd it, it sounds amazing. I mean, incredible, love it. And our version will be the only version that's been reissued from the original tapes and has the extra track. So that's incredible.
What is that? How many of the original you think were made?
I think they, I'm pretty sure that they told me they made 1,000 of the original.
And what are they going for now?
I think the last one on Discogs went for $750. It's pretty rare. And this one, we actually, before we tried the tapes, we did a needle drop mix on this. And so there's actually a needle drop test pressing. With this being from North Carolina, I've had a few copies and they're hard to find clean. And so this is the cleanest copy I've ever had because I bought it from the band and it was sealed when I got it. But it's going to be nice for people to be able to get it at an affordable price and it sound good. I mean, and I think, we A-B this one and the next one we're talking here. I think that the reissues are both going to sound better than the originals. And the reality, if you find an original this clean is impossible.
What year was this from?
1974.
And most of the band guys still living? No.
So I think that one of the lead singer, his wife also, she played keyboard and sang backup vocals on this. She is the main member, and her name's Shay. She's incredible. We've had a great time getting to know her. And then the bass player, I believe the bass player is still around, but the other two I think have passed, if I'm right. But I just communicate kind of with her. She's the main one. But yeah, it's a fantastic record. Love it. So that's the one. This next one is kind of the dinger here. This is kind of wild. So I'll take it out so you can see it in all its glory. This is Yezda Urfa, Boris. This is a super rare record, one of the rarest records I have in my collection. This is a $2,000 to $3,000 record, depending on condition. Very rare prog. There was only 200 or 300 original copies. They're extremely hard to find in any condition, but especially this clean. This is a you saw it. How clean is this thing? I mean, super.
Well, I'll interrupt him by telling y'all it was in shrink wrap, and we needed to scan it to make the best cover, and we had James scan it, our graphic designer, and it took a couple of hours to get him to let us take the shrink wrap. I mean, I'm kind of exaggerating, but it was a process, and it was well, can we scan it with the shrink, and maybe we can pull the shrink off and get it back on. And well, I have a shrink wrap machine out there, and like we're going through all these different things, and it's like, well, dude, you want your album to jacket, the new one to be
you know what it's like.
No, I understand.
I mean, I bought it with the intention of using it to reissue, and I brought it knowing I was probably going to have to take the shrink off.
I know, but I'm teasing you a little bit, and I'm like you. I mean, it could be, it could be me would have done the same thing as you.
Right.
But I'm kind of teasing him a little bit, but I mean, it's also very serious, man. How much is the album worth?
I mean, it's worth $2,000 to $3,000.
Right.
I mean, this is
you got a total mint cover in the shrink wrap.
But I mean, if you look at this thing, I really am glad I took the shrink off, because it was old and brittle and a little bit like yellowed, and pulling it off and seeing this just beautiful cover. It's never seen the light of day. It's beautiful. So in the end, I'm good with it.
I never heard of this band, and one of my employees, Jonathan, knew all about them. We talked to one of the rarest auction houses in America. He knew all about it, and it's like a new word. When you learn a new word and you hear it like 100 times, and since we've been working on this album, I've heard a lot of collectors talk about it, which is crazy.
But the synthesizer on it it gets crazy, and we tweak some stuff with, but it sounds amazing, and we had the original tapes. The band mailed me the original tapes, which Matt did a great job on. He restored them and did it. So both of these are AAA, straight from the tapes, all that. So it's awesome. So we A/B'd the original versus the test pressing, and it was different, but the test pressing it's got more low end. All the instruments are kind of it's all smoother. They're all represented about the same. With the original, the synthesizer kind of is real piercing, which it still sounds great. It just depends on what you like. But I do think that the test pressing sounds better. The original is a little bit more harsh. I guess I'm not good at describing.
It's a little brighter. It's a little more in your face. A little brighter. I think if somebody's system is dull, it might be more present. It might cut through a dull system, and then typically a lot of times the things you heard is what happens when you remaster something that was done, in the 70s. Like the original's a little brighter. It's a little more. It's a little harder on your ears. The new one, it's fuller. It's warmer.
One thing about this is it is smooth. It sounds more smooth, and also like the original, you turn it up, it gets hard to listen to because when it gets real loud because it's so sharp. The original or the test pressing that we listened to, you could crank it all the way and it sounds good loud. So, anyways, apples and who cares? Because nobody's going to find an original anyways. The reissue that we're going to do is going to sound. You can rest assured knowing that it sounds incredible, and it sounds, in my opinion, it sounds better. When I play this album on my system, I probably will just play my reissue because it sounds great. So I'm really excited about this one as well. So those are the two we were doing right now. We got another couple we've been talking about doing too. So we got like 6 records that we've licensed that we are going to be doing, and so we're excited about it. But part of the thing I really wanted to do is psych records. A lot of times the reissues are they don't sound great. But it's just like, it's lo-fi music that people don't really feel like it, they don't go to the trouble of doing a good reissue. And then, like I think you said yesterday, like they're some of them are borderline bootleg. Like they don't sound good. They don't look good. And I am not an audiophile. I mean, some people would disagree with me, but I'm not like you are.
Yeah, well, I mean, dude, you have a Macintosh 275 and Clips horns. I mean,
well, yeah, but I'm just saying,
yeah.
I appreciate quality, and I can tell the difference. And the music that I love, I want it to be represented the best way it can be. So that's why I came to you, and I'm excited about. I've not seen a lot of psych reissues that are really good, high quality, and so I'm looking forward to doing some things like that with you. So,
yeah, I mean, rise above, man. Why do shitty job like everybody else,
Yeah.
Like make your product special.
Yeah.
Like, when somebody buys it, they know that you went to the best place and you spent the money and you spent the extra. Sometimes it just costs, a little bit more, maybe double or something, but you did it the best quality possible, and you got to make you feel good, right?
Right. I mean, and this isn't, John Coltrane Love Supreme that I'm going to be able to make 1 million copies of. I mean, I might only reissue this once. There's not that big of a customer base, so I want it to be the best it can be.
Dude, let's make. How proud can you be of doing something half-assed?
Right, exactly.
I mean, a lot of the things I do, I lose money on a break even, but if I did a really good job on it, then at least I feel good about it.
Right.
But dude, I appreciate you coming to Salina. I recommend people watch this channel. There's going to be great records to come out, and so thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Please like and subscribe for more audiophile content.